Okay guys, we're replacing the strut on the passenger side on a 2006 Honda Pilot. Very easy, straightforward project, takes a little bit of effort. Very easy to do. Basically you got two 22 millimeter nut and bolts that need to come out. Your ABS line, there's a 10 millimeter bolt back here. Your end link, that is a 19 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. 10 millimeter back here to move your line, and I want to say a 14 millimeter or 12. Let me see. Yeah, 12 millimeter to get out your brake line, and then you got three 15 millimeter nuts up top that have to come off. I usually pull the strut on the ABS line side so you don't damage your brake line, but you got to be careful of your ABS line. You don't want to damage that, as well as the boot for your axle. I usually cover that with a towel. Once in a while I'll rest the strut on it. Don't want to damage that. So we'll go through taking it apart and installing the new strut. All right, we're going to start by removing the brake line bracket off of the strut. We're going to set that on the side. I'm going from Monroe struts to Gabriel struts. I've had trouble with the Monroes not lasting more than a couple years. I'm not claiming warranty on them because I just simply don't want to put them back in the car. So that's why I'm going to Gabriel's now. All right, to take your 22 millimeter, we're gonna loosen this nut. I'm still gonna leave one bolt in place until I get the top taken out, and then I'll remove the bolt. Pretty straightforward. Might need a breaker bar to get this off the thing. I just did these just a couple years ago, so it's not too bad getting out. All right, we're going to get the next nut and bolt off. The 22 millimeter using a breaker bar. There we go. Like I said, when we pull the strut out, we're going to go to the towards the back of the car, away from the brake line. You do not want to get hung up in that brake line. Taking this strut off. Okay, we got one nut off, one bolt off. I'm going to undo the end link and the other your ABS line next, and then I'm going to take the 3 nuts off the top of the strut, and basically it just comes out after that. Very easy. All right, we're going to remove the end link nut up here. It's a 19 millimeter socket, and I use a 5/8 wrench to hold it from spinning. There's a little place to lock it on. Depends on what kind of end link you have. This one is just taking the 5/8 wrench. So I already WD-40'd it, and basically that nut comes off. Very easy. I use the breaker bar to start it. All right, now I'm not able to get the socket back in there because what happened is it's pushing on it. The strut, so I'm going to lift the strut up a little bit from underneath it with another jack, so that bolt is then it doesn't have so much pressure on it. Then I'll be able to get the nut out, and it'll back right out. It'll push right off in the back. So I'm just putting the jack underneath the lower control arm, and I'm going to jack up that, and you'll see as I jack it up, this bolt coming through here with the nut, it'll become more level, and it'll ease out. I'll get you a shot of the jack here in a minute. So right now I'm just lifting it. You can see that bolt is starting to become more level. There we go. Okay, the nut's off, end link just pops right out. This would be a good time to replace if they need replacing, or just use the existing one that you have. It's your call, up to you. I just replaced mine not too long ago, so I'm just going to reuse them. Now that bottom, now you have easier access to the ABS line. So I'm going to use my 10 millimeter. And this is going to come right out, and you're going to move your ABS line. I always take the one off the top up here as well. You're able to move that ABS line around a little better. There we go. You take that 10 millimeter bolt out. It's going to free up your line. Like I said, I always get the one on the side of the frame up here. That way I get a little more flexibility moving that line. You don't want to get it caught up in the strut when you're removing it. There we go. As our line's loose, that your bolts off to the side. And you're all good. All right, I'm going to put a towel over the axle boot. I don't know if you can see it that well from the camera angle. All right, you can see where I got the jack under the lower control arm, lifted it up so I can get that end link out. Also wanted to mention, when you jack the car up and you get the tire off, you want to put I got another jack stand under this part of the suspension. I'm leaving my factory jack in place as well, and I got the tire up under the front of the car for safety reasons. You don't want to get yourself hurt. Brake line off, ABS line. We got both nuts off the strut where it connects to the spindle. I'm just going to remove one ball. Going to remove the 3 nuts from up top, and then your strut is ready to come out. And that's the easiest part. All right, you got 3 nuts under here at the top of the strut you got to get off. I usually prop this up, and I don't go through the pop-out openings. I'll just lift this up. I'll put a piece of foam in there to wedge it up. You got full access to your nuts. It's easier when you're trying to get your strut up in there too. You can see where your strut bolts come up through there. Easiest way I found is just kind of pick it up this way. There's little inside here little push pins that go up into the that rubber gasket. I find it easier just to pull it up this way. That way you don't break your the little push pins that are inside here. If you pull up the gasket, you sometimes pull these little push pins out of there. So I just kind of prop it up, manhandle it, and then stick this foam underneath here to prop it up. And you got full access to your nuts inside there. And these are 15 millimeter nuts. And once you get these out and the bottom bolt on the 22 millimeter bolt, your strut pops right out. So I'm going to work on getting those loosened up and out of there. Like I said, 15 millimeter socket does it. Usually the struts that you buy come with new ones. You could use the old ones, or you can use the new ones that come with it. And usually they're the same size. The Monroe shocks I've usually used, I've used Monroe for years. I always had trouble with the last couple of sets on my 06 and my 03, my first generation on Honda Pilots. They've only lasted a couple of years. The top steering mechanism, the top, I guess, bearing, if you will, has basically disintegrated, come apart, so they start to rattle. And they still work as a strut, but you get a rattle and you get a vibration when you're driving. It's very annoying. So that's why I'm switching to my Gabriel. I bought them from, got them from Rock Auto. All right, we're going to switch back down to the bottom. Going to get that last bolt out, and the strut's going to come right out. I'm going to pull the last bolt out of there, and she's going to be ready to pop out. One thing you got to keep in mind, I put a cover over the axle boot, towel to protect it. Sometimes I'll lean the thing on here. I always put a towel on top of the disc. I rest my arm in there. I don't want to scrape it up. All right, let me get that last bolt out. And she's going to be ready to come out. Like I said, watch your brake line, watch your ABS line. It's hard to show you the camera angle now, but it's basically going to go out towards the rear. We cleared the ABS line. There we go. All right, guys. The key to getting this to fit up into the shock mounting area is to have the strut bolts in the proper order. The two rear, as we face the rear, or the rear of the car, are going to be the furthest spaced apart. I marked this one with the tape. Sometimes they have an F there, sometimes they don't. This distance here and this distance here is just under 5 inches. This distance here is right at 5. This is going to be facing backwards, and this is going to be actually the front of the car. So this is the bolt that's going to be facing the front. I'm going to wedge a hammer in there, the wooden part, and I'm going to move this on its bearing to line them up properly. The one that just came off, you can see there's a little FR in there, see them for front, and the two widers are going to be right in the back. And one of the bolts is going to line up with one of the rear side of the strut. So you kind of get a rough idea where it's got to be. Once you get into the car, get the nuts started on this, you can adjust the bottom to fit onto your spindle. So this is the key to, most of the videos I've seen online don't talk about this, but the last probably 3 sets of struts I got, none of these bolts lined up properly with the way the car was set up. So I had to move each one of these, the top of the bearing, to get it to fit. But that is the key to getting these up and doing this by yourself and not having a helper up there to start the nuts. All right, guys, so I'm going to wrestle with the strut, getting it in place here, getting up into the shock well. It's hard to film, but you just got to make sure you're watching out for your ABS line. Like I said, I got towels here to protect the brake line a little bit, and mainly the axle boot, as well as the ABS line. You kind of want to fish it in between here and then set it down in place. It's hard to show, but you're gonna. It's easiest to get the top up into there first and put it into place. So it's hard to videotape it, but I'm going to try to let you watch me struggle with it. This is the only difficult part, but if you get your bolts lined up here up top, it makes the job a lot easier. All right, now we're going to get the strut up through here, line up the bolts, start it with the nuts here, and once you get it supported, you can put in the mount the bottom of the strut. I'm moving the ABS line out of the way, making sure your brake line's not hooked up with it. There we go. All right. So you got one nut on. Second nut. And the third. And this will support it. You get the bottom mounted up. All right. So now all you gotta do is put your spindle in place, line it up with the strut, get your bolts through there, hook up your lines, and since it's supported up top, there's nothing, you can see your ABS line is clear, your brake is clear, your brake line. So you just got to get this lined up, get your nut and bolts in there, tighten everything up, and you're good to go. All right, we're gonna line up the strut with the spindle. Get this thing buttoned up. There we go, we got the first bolt through. You want to take these down, torque them down to spec. And then once these are tightened up, you're going to put your brake line in place, put your 10 millimeter, get your ABS line put in here, and then we're going to install the, reinstall the end link. And that's pretty much all there is to it. We'll bring you back up top and we tighten that down. .22 millimeter. I'm staying away from my brake line. I tighten up the bottom to get everything in place, and then I go and tighten up the top at the end. .12 millimeter bolt locks up your, secures your brake line. And your 10 millimeter bolts secure the ABS line to the frame and the bracket on the strut. And they're 10 millimeter bolts as mentioned. Alright, I'm going to pause it for a second. Tighten the top 10 millimeter. Secure the bottom bracket onto the strut. Alright, I'm going to tighten this up and we'll meet you back up top. We're going to tighten down those 3 nuts and then we'll pretty much be done. We got to do the end link though. I'm going to do that last. Alright, once you got everything in the bottom bolted up, in the top, tighten up these top nuts, and then we're going to pop that gasket back into place. See how the wedge gives you easy access to everything. Fairly straightforward job, not that hard to do. As long as you take your time and think what you're doing. Make sure the car is secured. Watching that ABS line, watching the brake line. And also getting this top of the bearing, strut bearing, to line up with the top of the shock mount. One more in the back again. All right, now we're going to pop that gasket back into place. You can see these little push pins go down through the openings. Your other options go through the top with these little pre-cut factory holes, but I find just lifting the whole thing makes it much easier. And that's it. You're done up top. Oop. There's my other nuts from the previous. I'm gonna lock my this is your windshield washer fluid hosing, and that's it. That's it for up top. I'm gonna finish. You can see how the upper end link does not match up with the mounting bracket and the strut. So we're going to use the jack to jack up the assembly a little bit so they can match up. And you could finish putting your nut on. You got your end link hooked back up, and you're good to go. You can see it lifting up into place a little bit. Let's see if it matches up now. I'm going to do a little more. Just a pinch more. There you go. All right, it's good to go. Okay, got everything back in place. Tighten down the end link, 19 millimeter, 10 millimeter on the ABS line, 10 millimeter back here. And make sure your lines aren't damaged. 22 millimeter here, those are all torqued to spec. Your brake line, 12 millimeter on bolt here. Everything looks good. Up top's all buttoned up. Now the last thing to do is put your tire on, go for a test drive, and you're good to go. Obviously, it's identical for doing the driver's side. Your car will sit up a little higher, but after a day or two, it'll settle back down to the stock ride height. So it's pretty much the same thing doing the driver's side.